That's spread to 95819. Data and messaging rates apply. It's the 25K payday on Sports Radio The Ticket.
All right, welcome back. This is our number 2 of Idaho Sports Talk on this Friday. We'll talk a college football weekend, Pac-12, Big Sky, Prater, Mountain West, national games, even a little yacht action. That's coming up this hour. Lots of college football talk.
Let's do it, bud. Let's do it.
Also, Rock Jocks and Pop Culture, giving you a chance. $50, Bonefish Grill. It's steak today. Pretty good place to eat. But first, our Bronco Nation News partnership continues every Friday like it does right now with our BNN report. BJ Rains joining us live on location from Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is also our video segment, so all forms of social media. BJ, what's up?
I can see Falcon Stadium out the window here across the highway. So, yeah, I've made it and happy to be on with you guys.
You know, we could go all over Boise State Air Force. We've chosen not to do that, at least right now, Prater. Let's talk basketball because this season tipping off soon, and you know, they're scrimmaging against Oregon tomorrow, BJ, close scrimmage and all that stuff. But 3 new players to this team, and it looks like all 3 are going to have fairly big roles. But first, who are these guys? And maybe a pronunciation guide, BJ Rains, might be a help for us. Who are these new guys on the team?
Well, I guess we'll start with Chibuzo Ogbo. I think he's the guy that comes in with the highest ceiling and at least has a chance to be the most impactful right away. He's a San Diego native, comes over from Texas Tech, 6'7", 220, and really, to me, has a lot of similarities to what you got in Abu Kijab. You look at his situation coming over, and he was a guy, obviously, that highly recruited, 4-star guy, had some big-time Power 5 offers, goes to Texas Tech, and it just didn't quite work out for him. Only averaged 1.5 points, 1 rebound per game. Didn't play a whole lot, but, had 8 points in the NCAA tournament against Montana State at the end of the season, but was looking for a bigger role, looking to play more just like Abu Kijab was. And he comes over and is going to come into a starting spot right away, basically as Kijab's replacement. The one thing to keep in mind is Abu Kijab came over and got to redshirt for a year. You're able to kind of get him situated with Leon's system and all the guys and all that stuff. Chibuzo comes in and he's gonna start right away and be one of your main players. And so I think trying to get as much production from Chibuzo as you got from Abu Kijab is going to be huge for this team, because I see that kind of as a 1-for-1 trade.
BJ, is it Chibuzo Ogbo or is it Agbo? What does he go by?
I believe it's Ogbo.
Chibuzo Ogbo.
It is, not that it matters, but I'm just more curious as we get to know these guys. Is he a Native American? Did he come over here with family? How did the name is certainly unique and different.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, he went to high school in San Diego. He's from St. Augustine. I mean, the other 2 guys we're going to talk about definitely were not born in the United States. But I think Chibuzo is from San Diego and born and raised, unless I'm wrong.
As far as I know, he's San Diego, too.
And we're penciling him into the starting lineup, BJ?
I think of the 3, he is the one that you feel the safest on, yes. I mean, he is part of your quote-unquote big 3 now with Tyson Degenhart and Marcus Shaver. I mean, Chibuzo Ogbo is going to be one of your star players on the team this year. I think he starts. I think he plays 30-plus minutes a game. And like I said, I know folks weren't super enthralled by the points per game, 1.5. But again, look at Abu Kijab's numbers at Oregon. They were almost exactly the same. He gets a bigger role, gets to come into his own here. He had 2 other Mountain West schools in his final 3, Nevada and New Mexico, and chose Boise State for a number of reasons. But I think winning was a big thing for him. And, could have gone to San Diego State out of high school, had USC, had some other big offers, and decided to go to Texas Tech. And now he goes to Boise State, and I think he's got a chance to be a real star for them.
Yeah, and 2 years with Chibuzo real quick. Correct, BJ? This will be his junior year. I don't know does he have a COVID year? Have you done that research? Could they have him for ultimately 3 seasons seasons on this program?
I believe he does technically have 3 seasons. If the 2020, 2021 season, I believe was the COVID year, was technically his freshman year. So they list him as a junior on the roster, but I believe technically he has the chance to be a 5th-year senior here in a couple of years.
And I'll say this too, BJ, before we get to the next player. I saw a practice with you, and I think Leon came over us to the practice, and he was like gloating at, hey, that kid's pretty good, right? I mean, you see what I'm talking about now? Look at number 11. Look at number 11. And I think he's going to be a good player too.
Well, I'll say quickly, Johnny, when he came on his visit, they can play pickup ball with some of the players and stuff. Somebody that was at the pickup game when he was on his visit before he committed, right then and there said he's got a real good chance to end up being better than Abu Kijeb was.
Oh, yeah, high praise. Sada and Ganja, and I want to be able to pronounce his first name correctly as well, BJ. He is from Angola in the Arizona high school. He's coming in straight from high school. But here's another kid. Tell us about Nganga.
So they call him Sada. That's the easier thing to worry about than Cedric. But the last name, the G is actually silent, so it's Nanga is the correct pronunciation that I looked at on that. So it's just Sada Nanga.
Okay.
The G is silent, and both N's in his last name are supposed to be capitalized. We found out also. So both N's in his last name are capitalized. Sada Nanga, and
Gotcha. I love it.
Comes over from Angola, went to a prep school, Arizona Compass Prep. And, Leon was telling us yesterday, the big thing with him is he speaks 5 languages, and Boise State basketball is his 6th language, as Leon put it. The fact that he is trying to learn the terminology, and that's kind of his biggest thing right now, is just trying to learn what Boise State calls things, how that works. His English is still, not perfect. So, Leon was saying Mike Burns would be kind of getting on him about something, and Leon's like, he had no idea what you just said. So they're having to they're kind of having to work with him a little bit on that, and that's kind of been one of the reasons maybe that I don't want to say holding him back, but I think the language barrier is going to be a little bit for him to adjust to Boise State. But I mean, at one point in time, guys, before he tore his ACL, he was the number 15 ranked player in the 2022 class. I mean, he was a 5-star player that had John Calipari come into his practice. I mean, this guy had every offer in the country that he wanted to go to back when he was a freshman and sophomore. They were already putting him on NBA draft boards. And then he tore his ACL and really was his junior season was pretty much a wash. His senior season, he was still a little timid on the knee, came back, didn't put up huge numbers. Some schools were scared away. But my understanding is when he committed to Boise State, Auburn and Kansas were both basically like, well, why'd you do that? He still had several big schools, including Auburn and Kansas, that still wanted him when he committed to Boise State. So, the big thing with him is Coach Barsh, RJ Barsh, was the main recruiter for him, was the big guy that got him there. And then once he signed and everything, then Coach Barsh left for Florida State. And so they were able to keep Sada in the fold, even though he had, basically had the best relationship with the coach that left. But they bring him in. And he's a 6'9", basically a 6'9" 2 guard. I mean, he looks like Kevin Durant out there. I mean, he's a tall guy that can dribble the ball, can shoot the ball from the outside. But Leon has lately, the last couple of weeks, been tempering expectations on him. I don't know if he's, quote unquote behind, if they're not wanting to put too much on this kid right away. But I don't know if that exhibition game against Carroll College next week, if he's going to be starting. I think it's going to be a little time to get him going. And don't forget, with Tyson Degenhardt, it took 7 games till Tyson Degenhardt started, and then he took off and was the freshman of the year. So I think the ceiling is very, very high for him, but I think that early on the expectations should be tempered a little bit because he's making a big adjustment coming from high school.
I was going to ask you about, Boise State lists him as a 6'10" guard, and you just said 6'9" guys, so he obviously fits on that roster. It might be one of the tallest guards or point guys. He's not a point guard, he'd be a shooting guard, but in Boise State history. So do you envision this kind of guy with the kind of talent that could work his way into the starting lineup, kind of like Tyson Degenhardt did?
Oh, I think by the end of the season, he's probably starting. I do. And I mean, you talk to Leon and some of these coaches. I mean, they think this guy's going to play in the NBA someday. I mean, he's that good of a talent. It's just going to take a little time for him. And with Sada, I think all the John Caliparis and all the people coming to see him, I think Sada had dreams of being a one and done. He had dreams of being a guy that was going to go to college for 1 year and go to the NBA. I'm not sure that happens, but I'm also not sure he's here 4 years. If you just think about his projection and what they see from him, it's just going to take a little bit of time. But I think with him, it's getting him to buy into the team aspect, getting him to kind of continue to get better and develop and know that, helping the team and doing things will ultimately help his career down the line. But when they list him at 6'10", 220. and if you're saying that's a center, well, he's way too small. But for a shooting guard, he's out there throwing alley-oops to guys and driving to the basket and hitting threes, and very intrigued. He's one of the guys at the exhibition game I can't wait to see, because I know they really, really like him, but they have been cautioning a little bit that I think fans are expecting him to come in and be Michael Jordan from day one, and I do think it's going to take a little bit of time.
Number 1 on the roster. So look for number 1 when you get out to Extra Mile Arena and finally see it. And let's switch over to number 14. I believe it's Mohamed Sylla, 6'11", out of the Ivory Coast. What do we know about this guy, BJ?
It's just Sylla, Mo Sylla, Mohamed Sylla. And yeah, he's probably the most interesting story out of all these guys. Comes over from the Ivory Coast, went to Putnam Science Academy, which is a prep school over in the East Coast. And I think he had like 9 or 10 Division I players on his high school team. So he had a ton of, guys, talent around him. But he was very raw. Didn't start playing basketball till late, and was a late bloomer, and ended up going to Florida Southwestern College, I believe, a JUCO down there for 2 years. And the interesting thing with him is during the pandemic, he's got 15 brothers and sisters.
What?
I interviewed him when he committed.
JP has more.
Yeah. I interviewed him when he committed. He actually had 16. Unfortunately, one has passed away. But he's got 15 brothers and sisters. And when the pandemic hit, his family was really struggling for money. So he actually quit the JUCO and moved to New York to get a regular job like you and me, to try to raise money to get money for his mom and his family and to send it back. And he lived with a uncle, I believe, or a family member, and then decided to go to Detroit Mercy. But the transfer credits were having some issues from the JUCO since he left early in going over. And so he was not cleared until January to play at Detroit Mercy, and they already had the rotation kind of set and their lineup set, and they had 2 other D1 guys, one that I think transferred to BYU, and he just kind of never found his role. So his stats are not very impressive. He only played in 10 games at Detroit Mercy, 1.5 points, 0.7 rebounds, and I think when he committed, a lot of fans were like, this is the replacement for Malad Narmouche. Like, really, a guy that averaged 1 point a game at Detroit Mercy? But yeah. Leon and company thinks there's a lot more to it. He never really got a chance at all to play at Detroit Mercy because of the circumstances. So to have him in the portal in June, they thought was just an unbelievably incredible find. And they feel very fortunate and lucky to have him. And since he's gotten here, he's a big, thick 6'10", 6'11" guy. The comparison I've been told with him is Nathan Mensah, the center at San Diego State, kind of just a big, thick guy that can block shots in the middle and dunk, and he's not going to maybe have quite the offensive game at times that a Malad Narmouche did, but he gives them a rim protector they haven't had in terms of blocking shots in the paint in a long time. So they really like what he brings: rebounding, defense, and physicality. And so I think, whether it's him starting or whether it's Lucas Milner, I think both those guys are going to combine to play 40 minutes and combine to have 10 fouls, and hope between the 2 of them you can get enough points and rebounds to make up for what you lost.
BJ, he's listed as a senior. Is he a 1-year guy, 2-year guy?
He's got 2 as well, I believe. Yeah, he had 2 years at the JUCO. One of those was during COVID, and then he had, I said it says 1 year at Detroit Mercy, but he was basically there like 2 months. Yeah. I believe he does have 2 years, and they feel like he is a guy that has a lot of untapped potential, and that the stats and what people see on paper about him is not close to what they're going to get.
He's going to be a first-team all get-off-the-bus team guy, BJ.
He looks like Dwight Howard or somebody when he walks off when you see him. Yeah.
He looks like Dwight Howard. He looked like he reminded me of when I was on the floor in Portland with you last year watching Memphis practice. Remember when we looked at each other like, dude, I didn't realize Memphis looked this big, and Mo fits into that. He's of that ilk.
I mean, you talk about him, but then you got, Sada coming off at 6'10" as a guard, and you got all of a sudden Tyson Degenhardt at 6'7", Chibuzo Ogbo at 6'7", 6'8". I mean, this is gonna be one of the tallest teams that Leon's had in a long time. I mean, even Max Rice, potentially starting / coming off the bench at 6'5". I mean, Marcus Shaver's your only guy that's like under 6'5" that's probably going to see the court this year. They're going to be a really tall, athletic, long team. But if you talk to Leon, the one concern he has right now is rebounding. The rebounding needs to, obviously, was something that they had a lot of guys like Kejab and the big guy Armouche that could get a lot of boards. And right now, I think rebounding and toughness is something they're wanting to see come out of tomorrow.
They rebounded the ball so effectively last year, too. It's such a big part of their puzzle. BJ, before we get chat here, I want the BJ Raines October 22nd projected Boise State starting 5. Who's going to start?
For game one, I think it's going to be, four of the guys we talked about. It's going to be Shaver and Degenhart and Ogbo. I think it's probably Lucas Milner for the exhibition game, and then probably Max Rice. Fans may not love that to hear about Max Rice starting in the starting lineup, but I think eventually you'll have a guy like Sada that'll push him out. But I think Leon said yesterday Max looks the best he's ever looked. He's fully healthy. He's not expecting him to start the season 1 for 24 from 3 again. So I think they're expecting Max Rice to be a lot better. So I would say Milner, Rice, and then the big three to start the season. But that's not what it's probably going to be at the end of the year.
All right, BJ, the coverage, BNN all weekend, I would imagine. You got your pregame, your postgame,
yeah.
BNN, BroncoNationNews.com.
Yep, got a couple stories up and on the site, BroncoNationNews.com. We'll have all the videos as well. And Tust will join me. Rich Waltz, the play-by-play guy for the game, is going to join me live on the pregame show at 3:30 as well. So just follow us on YouTube and all the social media channels and so Bronco Nation News, and you can find it all there.
Hey, don't get too crazy in Colorado Springs tonight.
I'm actually going to check out the Air Force hockey game tonight.
Nice.
Just for something to do. Me and Craig Lawson and a couple of media guys are going to head over there just to give us something to do tonight. So
that's cool, man. All right, BJ. Well done as always. Appreciate you.
Take care, guys.
BNN. Yep, BNN. Subscribe there. Pretty good service. Obviously, we love our partnership with those guys. Prater, big. I keep saying that. Prater, a nice college football weekend coming up on the horizon.
That might even be a little generous.
You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I think I'm going to wake up early and I think I'm going to cook breakfast while game day is on for my family. Eggs, bacon, hash browns. JP, why are you laughing? Like what is this?
When I envision you getting up and cooking breakfast, I think like 10:30. 10:30 you're going to get up.
Or it's me running to the fast food place getting the McMuffins or whatever.
JP, do you have that favorite sounder of mine handy?
The 0% chance, that one, Prater?
0% chance. 0% chance.
Love you guys. Oregon hosting UCLA, College Game Day, all this good stuff. Where are the Yotes?